Peace, family. Y'all know who it is. It's Bakoy Lumumba, the progenitor of LumumbaSpeaks.com, a Black empowerment initiative where we believe we could gain a competitive advantage by always betting on Black. Back once again, where we're going to have a rather, provocative, provocative, provocative conversation about a topic that is still extremely sensitive to most people here in America. And that topic is that 27 years ago today, OJ Simpson, we're talking about Orenthal James Simpson, was exonerated, right, in what was dubbed then as the trial of the century. We're talking about the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson. As many of you may be aware, there have been numerous books written about this, numerous documentaries, TV movies regarding the trial of the century, also known as the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson, also known as the Juice, right? OJ. We all know that OJ is famous, infamous, I should say, for stating that I'm not Black, I'm OJ. However, as we do know, 27 years ago today, 150 million people. I'm going to say that one more time. 150 million. 150 million people tuned in to view the verdict. 150 million people tuned in 27 years ago, the afternoon, October 3rd, 1995, to view the verdict of the state of California versus the Orenthal James Simpson. And as a result, the reaction was racially divided, along racial lines. And so the question is justice in America racial in nature? We're going to get into some other questions, particularly about the trial. But I see Brother Bag, you made a comment. I'm going to put the link in the chat, and we're going to get busy right away. Make sure you hit that like button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and make sure you hit that notification bell for future videos. But the question is justice in America racial in nature? As I stated before at the top of the broadcast, today is the 27th anniversary of the verdict of the Orenthal James Simpson trial, also known as OJ Simpson, the state of California versus OJ Simpson. As we all know, 150 million people tuned in on that afternoon to watch the verdict, and the reactions were divided strongly along racial lines. With that being said, want to get you all's perspective, particularly regarding is justice in America racial in nature. We do know that we're living in a society that is highly racialized, right? Many individuals try to say, no, it's not, but this is a reality, right? Particularly if you want to go historically, it starts with the Bacon's Rebellion. We do know that Michelle Alexander highlights the significance of Bacon's rebellions in terms of creating a racially stratified society in her seminal text, The New Jim Crow. And if you haven't read The New Jim Crow, please check it out. She wrote that book 12 years ago, actually. And she's still going strong, doing her thug thizzle, right, in higher education. I believe she works at a higher education institution in New York City, but she actually still lives in Ohio and Columbus. So shout out to Queen, the strong sister, brilliant sister, powerful sister, Michelle Alexander. So with that being said, I put the link in the chat. We're going to have a great conversation. As first and foremost, as you all know, there are ground rules, right? And those ground rules are, number one, facts over feelings, right? If you make a claim, please be able to substantiate it. If you make a claim that is patently false, I will cut you off, because once again, this is my platform. And if I allowed you to disseminate misinformation or false information, that hurts my credibility. Number two, you are not allowed to use racial epithets of any kind to describe Black people, irrespective of their geographical location. Excuse me, got a frog in my throat. And we know that for many people, because of many Black people, for numerous reasons, have turned to many oftentimes have turned to emulating white conservatives in terms of being xenophobic, et cetera, et cetera. This is something that we're finding more often in the Black community. And so this is not something I allow on my platform. So with that being said, we got things open. We're going to allow people to tap in. Once again, as you know, you do not have to cam up to be part of the conversation, and you can use a pseudonym. So if you don't want to cam up, if you do not want to be known, maybe you have a job that is public facing and you have some controversial views regarding what happened with the OJ Simpson trial, then please you can use a pseudonym to call in and give your perspective. But the first question out there, of course, is justice in America divided along racial lines? Right? Bag 761 states, by legal standards, he is innocent. I personally feel he got away with murder. Brother Bag, tap in. Let me know why you believe that OJ, Orenthal James Simpson, got away with murder 27 years ago today. Definitely would love to hear that, your perspective there. Definitely would love to hear your perspective there. So with that being said, another issue is, was this a win for the Black community? Many people, we know historically, have argued that the criminal justice system has been a site of anti-Black violence. We do know that you would have to be a fool to assert that the criminal justice system is not racist in nature at every level. We're talking about local, state, and of course, federal. With that being said, many people have argued that the exoneration of OJ Simpson was a win for the Black community, right? And so I definitely want to get people's perspective there. And then, of course, we're going to ask the $1,000,000 question, right? That is, was he guilty, right? Was he guilty? And then last but not least, does the criminal justice system work if you have money, right? It's just more of a class issue rather than a racial issue. Many people argue that it comes down to, of course, funding. So we're going to see how that goes. Brother Bag, what say you?
Good evening, Professor Maluma. How are you doing?
Hey, you know what, brother? I appreciate you asking. I am dog tired. It's been a long day. I had to work. I had to go to class. I had to turn in a book chapter. And I went to the gym. It was leg day today, so I am tired. But hey, I'm carrying on. But I'm a trooper. I appreciate you.
Right on, right on.
How are you? The question: how are you?
I'm always good. Always. I stay positive. So yes. This is an interesting topic here.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this is a hot topic 27 years ago. I was in 7th grade, matter of fact.
I don't even know where I was 27 years ago, but I remember.
I remember because they stopped class and turned the TV on and allowed the whole school, everyone stopped class, turned the TV on, and allowed us to watch the verdict in school. This is how I remember. Yeah,
it was definitely one of the more first time that the court cameras were in the courts where they watched them across the country. Yes, so that became very popular after after they displayed that. But what was your question?
So my first question was, as we know, 27 years ago today, 150 million people tuned in to watch the verdict, and of course, people's reactions were divided along racial lines. So the first question I have is justice in America racialized in nature?
I would definitely have to say yes.
Okay, and why is that?
Well, the history. I mean, they want to make Black people out to be the enemy, and Black people have been nothing more than the kindest. But then you put them in a situation where you take away rights, take away resources, and you expect them to act a certain way. And it's been proven that if you put an animal in a cage and deprive them, that they're going to act a certain way. And I'm not blaming everything on the system, but the system does contribute to it. And then by the time you get to the court system, well, they have no respect for you anyway. So, they have to take responsibility for this situation. They want to market themselves one way, the justice is blind, but then when a person of color gets in the system, then all of a sudden they see color unless you have money.
Well,
That
I mean, so some people argue that even if you do have money, they still see color, right? And I could use some maybe some rather highly publicized cases such as Mike Tyson, such as, of course, Muhammad Ali, Hurricane Carter, to name a few, that even if you do have money, right, if you are the have drawn the contempt of the white community, it doesn't matter. Marcus Garvey, for a good example, they still gonna get you up out of there.
I would definitely agree with that, but money does alleviate a lot of issues versus not having it.
Yes, sir.
Meaning,
It gives you a fighting chance. You have the resources to fight. I will
yes.
agree with that. You have a war chest.
Plus, your sentence may be lighter.
Yeah, this is true. It's not a panacea, but it gives you a fighting chance. I can admit that, and I know because I've been involved in the criminal justice system before. And I always tell people, if you're gonna fight a case, it's best for you to be on the outside, not inside. Because if you fight the case on the inside, it's damn near impossible to win. And speaking of that, I don't know if you are aware of this, but so we do know that the OJ Simpson turned himself in June of '94 after the slow chase on the highway in the white Ford Bronco. He was arrested, and he spent all of his time in the LA County jail until the day that he was exonerated with the not guilty verdict. So from June of '94 to October of '95, he was sitting in the county the entire time.
Yes, but would you consider his chase turning himself in? I mean, what was he doing? I don't remember exactly, but he could have turned himself in a long time ago. That chase never should have happened.
Yeah, I just remember I was upset because they cut in on the NBA Finals game between the Knicks and the Rockets. I actually remember that. The show that I was mad, like, man, I don't want to watch this. Of course, my parents were intrigued, but I just remember being upset with that. I think the other issue is that there was some type of communication where he contacted them and told them where he was going to be, but they still, dramatized the situation by chasing him on the highway, and then they got to the home, and then he was arrested. So that is wild. But my other question for you is, and like I said, this is the $1 million question: was he guilty? Because he was found innocent in a court of law by a jury of his peers. There has also been another individual that has, what's the term I want to use? Admitted to committing the crime and killing, of course, Nicole Brown Simpson and, of course, Ron Goldman. So what do you say to that?
Well, as far as the court system goes, he is innocent. And you have to go by that. That's the system we use. That's the system we have. He was exonerated. But as far as what you just said, I never heard that. So I really can't speak on that.
Okay. But do you believe that he's innocent?
I do not believe he's innocent. I believe he's guilty.
Wow. Okay. Why is that?
He's always come across as arrogant.
This is very true. Yes, he is extremely arrogant. But let me say this real quick. A lot of stars in LA are arrogant. People said Kobe was arrogant as hell, and I'm a bit arrogant, right? But I'm just arrogant doesn't make you guilty, though, does it?
No, it doesn't. But he was arrogant and controlling. That's the issue right there. When you're going through a divorce or a breakup or anything like that, and she's seeing other people, I mean, the part where he grabbed her crotch allegedly and said, "This is my, you know what?" I mean, and I don't know if you remember that, but that suggests he's controlling.
So I'm gonna say this: he was seeing other people as well, and part of the reasons that they had a problem in their marriage is because he had an affair with another woman for over a year. What I will say is this: I don't know the inner workings of their relationships, but I do know in relationships, men would say, "Hey, your stuff is mine," and women would be like, "And your is mine as well." I've had that happen where women be like, "That belongs to me." Doesn't you know what I mean? So all I'm saying is, unfortunately, oftentimes in relationships, people are possessive and they use that type of language, right?
Okay.
Or they may engage in behavior that that is representative of someone being possessive in those relationships.
He might have took it too far. I'm the guy driving here. I don't know for sure, but if it's true, he was driving his car, things like that. If those things actually happen, that would set a person off.
No, actually, no. Well, yeah, there was a guy. Yeah, Ron Goldman was driving her Ferrari. Now,
Yes.
The assumption would be that she got that Ferrari due to being with him and the wealth he had or the money he had that allowed her to even be able to have a Ferrari. So
correct, but she's also with the waiter. He's this football player, all-star, and
retired. He had been retired.
Yeah, right. And she's now messing with a waiter. That's a blow to your ego.
Well, just once again, because some of this is what's the word
right.
Not substantial, but circumstantial, right? Because according to the guy, Ron Goldman, he stated that their friendship was purely platonic and that they had never been intimate. And he had even stated this to people when they found him driving her car. They was like, nah, we aren't smashing. We actually are just friends. And she's helping me out right now.
I mean,
so all I'm saying is I would have to look at, and even in the court of law, you would have to look at the evidence. Can we prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this man killed her? We can't, and personally, I believe that he's innocent.
So what was the information about this other guy confessing to it?
Well, this was later. However, the police never charged the guy. And so, as you know, he had a dream team led by Johnny Cochran. Also, I forget what the guy's name, but his last name was Kardashian. And what we do know is that, according to records, they charged OJ $50,000 a day. His legal team charged him $50,000 a day, and in order to afford that, he had to sell off basically almost all of his sports memorabilia to foot that bill.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you don't go down that road,
Right.
I mean,
right. Because you free, you was exonerated, but now you dead, broken, naked, right?
Not only was he free, he was loved by, everybody. Even black people loved him, But once he did that, everybody just turned on him. And black people was basically like, well, you know what, he really wasn't black, so he lost support from black people. And the only reason why black people were so interested in him, they wanted him to beat the case. It was like it was revenge on all the years of racism. It was the Rodney King thing. It was a situation with the LAPD jacking over gangs and stuff. So black people wanted to put it in white people's face and get him exonerated, get him free.
Mm-hmm.
That had a lot to do with it.
Got you. So let me ask you this. Was OJ's exoneration a win for the black community?
When you're in an oppressed situation, anything's a win like this. As far as the system of justice, because it's locked up so many people that were innocent that will take anything, to be honest with you. That's how I feel. I mean, when you see Rodney King go through what he went through, and for them to sit there and say that they were legally justified to do that to a human being, I don't care what he did.
Right. And as you know, of course, the officers in the Rodney King case were exonerated in state court, right? When they went to the LA County Common Pleas Court, they were found guilty in the federal trial, and they did go to prison.
Oh, they did. I knew they had to pay a little money, but I didn't know they went to prison.
Yeah. The officers, they went to prison. Absolutely.
See, well, that's another thing. How can you be found not guilty in state, but yet the federal finds you guilty?
Well, and I'm gonna tell you why. So there's a couple of factors, and I'm speaking on this because I took a class on the criminal justice system, and what we looked at a bunch of trials throughout the history of Western civilization. When I took this class, it was at undergrad. We looked at the trial of Socrates, the trial of Jesus, the trial of OJ, and the trial of Mike Tyson. These were the 4 trials that we reviewed in that class that semester. It was a great class, by the way. Shout out to that professor. I can't remember his name, but I remember he showed me a picture of his daughter, and she was a baddie. I was like, damn, that's your daughter? Like, anyway, just stay focused, right? So what ended up taking place was in the Rodney King trial was when you go to court in the county, right? So what state do you live in?
I'm California. Now I know what federal law, there's less burden you have to prove.
No. It's still the same, but this is the point I'm making. What county do you live in California?
Shasta.
Where's that? What's the city? What is the?
I'm about 160 miles north of Sacramento.
Okay, so let's just say you were in Sacramento County, right? So the city of Sacramento is maybe 20-25% Black. However, the county of Sacramento is probably 7% Black. When you are a juror on a county case, meaning a common pleas court, felony court, it's based on voter registration, right? So that there's a likelihood that you're going to have a homogeneous racial pool, particularly white folk, right? However, in the federal courts, the jury pool is going to be diverse. It's going to be diverse based on what Supreme Court law. So you go to a federal case, you're going to have maybe you got 12 jurors, 3 Black, 3 white, 3 Latino, 3 Asian. That's just what it is.
Okay, that's important because shouldn't the state follow that example? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's called states' rights.
Excuse me?
States' rights. That's what the states say. States' rights.
Yeah.
And because of this, people being disenfranchised, right? If you've been denied the right to vote, or the right to vote has been taken away from you, you can never get on the voter rolls, right? That's why every time I get called for jury duty, I show up every single time. There's never been a time that I've received a summons for jury duty and I didn't go. Yeah, this is very important, and this is why we tell people you need to register to vote so you can serve on the jury.
I'm a firm believer in registering to vote and voting in, period.
Right, but yeah, also, but I'm just saying there's another caveat there because people say I don't need to vote. It's bigger than that, right? Voting is important. We know white folk don't want us to vote. That's why for centuries they've been engaging in disenfranchisement, right? That's why we fought for the right for suffrage, but also get your ass on that damn jury. So very important there. So you said it was a win for the Black community. Does America have the greatest criminal justice system in the world? This is something that we hear all the time by pundits, particularly in the mainstream media, specifically Fox News. Do you believe that America has the greatest criminal justice system in the world? What say you?
For myself, I've only lived in this country. I don't know any other country or their systems. I've kind of seen things like with the lady I believe she was from Washington, Casey something, and she killed somebody or was allegedly convicted of killing somebody in Italy. Me personally, I would rather take my chances in the United States than a court outside of the United States. I mean, you look at the basketball player in Russia. Yeah,
right.
I don't know these other countries.
Yeah, they stroked her. Yeah, they stroked her bad.
Yeah, so I don't know these other countries, but here I know what these people are like, but I feel at least I'm comfortable in this system. If something should happen, I feel I'm going to get a fairer chance than if I was somewhere else. I may be wrong, but I haven't experienced it anywhere else, so this is the only thing I know.
Understood. So, hey, if you're watching, tap in. We're having a conversation about the OJ Simpson verdict. This is the 27th anniversary. October 3rd, 1995 was the day that the verdict was announced. Over 150 million people tuned in to view the verdict. And of course, as you can imagine, the reaction was divided along racial lines. So we're having a conversation about that. Tap in. The link is in the chat. make sure you hit the like button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Go ahead, Brother Bag.
Yeah, I mean, I just cannot believe the damage he did afterwards to his reputation. And then on top of that, to go to Las Vegas and get in another situation.
Well, in that situation, he was actually he was recovering memorabilia that was stolen from him.
Correct. But I don't care what it is. You just got finished with this thing with your ex-wife. All the money that you spent, I mean, I would be walking a fine line. I mean, and then he winds up going to prison. To me, it's like, where is this guy's head at?
Right. And the wild part was after he was arrested, the officers actually returned the stolen memorabilia to him and then put him in jail. And he had to face that trial. So yeah, that was pretty jacked up. But they were like, we got you this time. We ain't gonna let you slip through this time.
Yeah, and that's my point. I mean, you knew they were watching for you to slip up somehow, some way, and you allowed them. You put yourself in a situation to where, they got a hold of you.
Let me ask you this: how would you go about if you knew they had you in their crosshairs? How would you go about trying to recover memorabilia that was stolen from you?
To be quite honest with you, if I had been through what he went through after what I lost, I would focus more on building my life.
Well, but here's the thing. They said that the memorabilia was how he was able to have a livelihood because he would sell it to make money.
He went about it the wrong way. If I'm correct,
how would you go about it?
Well, if I had lost memorabilia, I would get the police involved because it's mine. If he believed it was his, that he was the rightful owner, and he knew where it was, like he set up the people to have the memorabilia there, let's say, I would have had the police go with me.
Gotcha.
That would have been the best, easy solution. That way the police officers can write a documented report on everything that transpired.
Gotcha.
But he took it into his own hands. That's where he screwed up.
Right.
I mean, like I said, when you go through what you went through and these people are after you, you do not take matters into your own hands. I mean, if you own a house, if someone walks up on your property and you tell them to leave and they don't leave, and if you hit them, guess what? You're at fault. You can't just hit somebody. So you just can't take matters into your own hands.
It depends on the state, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, but I believe me, I am no saint because I've been in the criminal system, and nothing I've done.
Right.
I stood up for myself and I've been arrested. So that's why I'm a big advocate of staying out of it. Because man, once you get into it, man, these people don't have your back. Absolutely. I mean, I pled guilty to everything. I was in there. I pled guilty to just to get out. You spend 2 days in. Oh, it's no big deal. But what they don't tell you is this is going to be on your record forever. So it is a big deal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
plea deals. Yeah.
Yeah, and I fell into that. And this last time, man, I actually caught a felony with a strike in California.
Wow.
And
I'm sorry, they still got the 3 strikes rule in Cali?
Yeah, but when
you say felony with a strike, can you extrapolate on what that actually means?
If you get a felony, right? Well, see, here's the thing. You can get a felony, but it can be a wobbler, which means they should try you as a misdemeanor. They can try you as a misdemeanor or a felony.
So up here,
they don't want to try you as a misdemeanor. They want to try you on the felony, to show that they have a high conviction rate. Well, my situation should have been tried as a misdemeanor.
Yeah, because you're more likely to take a plea deal if they charge you with the felony.
Right. Well, if you get 3 strikes, then you go to prison for 25 years.
So 3 strikes is what?
Three times you get convicted of something, a felony for 3 times, and they can even throw an enhancement on there to get you, then you go 25 years to prison.
So you said
right?
so an enhancement can be 25 years of life if they say that you have exhibited behavior that shows that you are a career criminal.
Yeah, like if you do something and then it requires an enhancement on there, that's how they can get you with another strike. And then you wind up, if you got 3, then you're going to do 25 years in prison. But see, here's the thing though, and this is why I'm not really I'm open to this system, is because after I received my felony with the strike, I went back to work, bought a house, paid it off, became debt free. And then I went back to the court, and the court looked at the case and it said, I didn't know this at the time, but this is how they get you. When I had first passed my probation, there was only 3 years informal probation, nothing serious. I spent 4 months in jail. They said, no reducing this to a misdemeanor with prejudice. When they say with prejudice, that means I can never go before a court and have it reduced to a felony.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Were you able to get it expunged?
Well, it gets better. So after I paid my house off, I got a lawyer and went to the judge to get it reduced. And she looked at it and said, you know what, come back. And I was like, wow. So we come back, this lady reduced it, got all my rights back, gun rights, everything. So the system done me dirty, but yet it helped me out.
Okay.
And I gotta be honest and fair. And a lot of brothers don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. In California, if you have a felony, if it's a wobbler, you can get that reduced to a misdemeanor and have it wiped off to where you never have to say you ever got a felony in your life. And then this year, just recently, they passed a law that if you have a criminal record, even if you are a felon, January 1st of next year, it is sealed. It is not made public. And there's a lot of states in the United States that are like that, that's called Fresh Start, to give people a fresh start. So, you know, I do knock the system, but there are certain things that, you know, that it is trying to make right, I guess.
Okay. Well, I think the biggest aspect of this is you have to know your rights. I think that's the major issue, that oftentimes we have individuals who don't know their rights. And what good is having rights if you don't know what they are, and as a result, you end up getting taken advantage of. So I always tell people you need to know your rights. But as we know, they use a person being incarcerated as leverage to get the person to take a plea deal. So I'm gonna give it a brief story. I was talking to one of my elders one day. And this is when he was watching that documentary about the Central Park Five, and how they got those young men to admit to raping that white woman, even though they didn't actually rape the white woman, right? And the elder was like, well, you know, Bakari, that would never be you. I said, why do you say that? He says, because you're strong-minded. You would die in jail before you admit to doing something you didn't do. I said, yeah, you're right about that. He said, in fact, you wouldn't even admit to doing something that you did do. I said, right, they would have to prove it. Literally, they would have to prove it. Do your job. So yeah, it's wild, man, wow. But I think that's the major issue, knowing your rights. I think oftentimes the brothers and sisters, unfortunately, don't know their rights. And this is why they end up becoming victims of the criminal justice system. But once again, if you tapped in, hit the like button. We're discussing, this is the 27th anniversary of the OJ Simpson verdict. Please tap in. The link is in the chat. I'll put the link in the chat again. You don't have to cam up. You can use a pseudonym. Tap in, give your perspective on what your thoughts about the OJ verdict. As we all know, the reaction to the OJ verdict 27 years ago was divided along racial lines. So some of the questions we've been asking is justice in America racialized in nature? But here's another question I have for you, Brother Bag, before we get some more people to tap in. What are your thoughts on jury nullification?
That's interesting. You know, when you say jury nullification, you're.
Would you like for me to expound on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so jury nullification is a situation in which a jury exonerates a defendant even though they know the person is guilty. So jury notification, again, example, took place in the trial regarding Emmett Till. Right, that was a case of jury notification. It was the jury knew that those white men were guilty, but they exonerated them anyway.
Well, to be quite honest with you, I personally feel that the jurors should be convicted.
Okay. Under what statute? What law?
That I don't know if there even is a law, but if you're gonna send a person to prison knowing that they are innocent.
No. I said jury notification is a situation in which the jury exonerates a person even though they know the person is guilty. Meaning they find a person not guilty even when they know that they actually are guilty.
There still should be some penalty. You know, I mean, I don't know if they're getting what their information is, because in the jury, when they're in the jury room, there's a lot of coercion, a lot of fighting.
But so this is what I'm saying. We found that jury notification was used in the trial regarding the murder of Emmett Till, where the jury knew that those white men were guilty, but they found them innocent because what? They were white. And so what I'm saying is, so I would just lay it out here. Many activists have argued that one of the reasons Black people should register to vote is so that we could then what? Be able to what? Be served to be on jury duty, actually serve on jury duty, and in the cases that are what? Racialized in nature, political in nature, engage in jury nullification.
Right, but and I understand that. But what I'm saying is, even if you have a mixture, it's been proven that when juries go behind and deliberate, you will literally have people fighting and changing jury's opinion. You know, and there should be a price for that. Everybody should come in there with their own vote. And if someone believes that someone's guilty, then that's how it should be. And then they should be a hung jury. But then the judge will say, oh no, you go back in there and deliberate even longer. And then the people will put pressure on them to change their vote.
Right. Well, I mean, that happens, right? However, what I will say is this: there are situations. 12 Angry Men is a good movie on how juries come to a verdict. But with that even being said, this is why you have to be strong-minded. Because I know if I believe the person was innocent, that Jesus, the ghost of Marcus Garvey couldn't convince me to find a person guilty or vote guilty. So part of it is you just have to be strong-minded, but that's part of the process, right? You go into the room, you debate the facts and evidence, so on and so forth. So we could argue that's an imperfect system, but it's the system we have. But like I said, we need to have some strong-minded Black people serving on juries, particularly in cases in which Black people are charged with crimes that are politically charged in nature.
I agree. Now, you asked me a question. How do I feel about it? How do you feel about this system? Or have you dealt with any of the systems outside of the United States? Do you feel it's...
I've never dealt with a system outside of the United States, but I have dealt with the criminal justice system inside the United States. And what I would say is this: I'm going to give the old African American proverb, and that is that knowledge is power. And when I became knowledgeable of how the criminal justice system worked, I wasn't found guilty anymore, right? So I always tell people that an arrest is not a conviction. An arrest is not justice, right? So I remember when I took that class on the criminal justice system, the professor was a former defense attorney. And as many people may know, that you could be a professor with simply a law degree, because a law degree is a terminal degree. And what he told us was, if you are a defendant, you tell your story one time and one time only. That's on the witness stand. Because the job of the police officer or the detective is just to get you talking about anything so they could poke holes. Shout out to Brother Amir. I hope you could tap in and be part of the conversation, brother. Please hit the thumbs up. I'm gonna highlight Brother Amir. Hope you could tap in, brother. And what ended up taking place was, he said their goal is to get you to say anything and then poke holes in it so then they can say to the jury, see, he lied to me, so now his credibility is shot, so that means he must have done it, right? So He told us, you shut them up, you don't say anything, and you engage, you tell your story one time and one time only, and that is on the witness stand. Second thing he told us, he says, if you are in a situation in which they've caught you in a situation on the stand where you may say you may say something that will make you look guilty. I'm missing the actual term. He says, and you say, I can't remember. So you have to say, I don't remember. It's been so long ago, I just don't remember.
Yeah, see, those are situations where you're going to trial. Most cases, they're trying to get you not to go to trial because it costs the county money. You know, I've never gone to trial because none of my.
I went to trial. And I remember I was charged with 3 crimes. I walked in there, and once we walked in, they was like, okay, we're going to drop one of these charges. I said, cool. And then they was like, okay, so listen, we'll drop everything to a 3rd-degree misdemeanor. I said, nope, we're taking this to trial because I didn't do anything wrong. And, as you know, they seek plea deals when they have a weak case. When they keep pushing a plea deal over and over and over again, part of it is because they know they have a weak case. I said, hell no. Nope. That we already had a jury and we went to trial. It was a 2-day trial. And of course, I was found not guilty.
Did you have to fork out a lot of money?
Only thing I had to pay was my my bail, my bond or bail, whatever you want to call it. But I already had had an attorney on retainer because I was, just dealing with custody issues. So.
Well, you're lucky because once you start going to trial, that's where the lawyers really like to jack things up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that's
going to pre-trial prep with my attorney, everything. You know what I mean? Like that shit is no joke, man. So
yeah, because
the best way to combat the criminal justice system was to not get involved in it.
Yeah, I didn't realize it, but they charge you by like the minute. They don't even worry.
They charge about an hour.
Really, but if you have a phone call that only lasts 10 minutes or 5 minutes, they charge you for that. It breaks down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they break it down. They're prorated, absolutely. I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn. Like I was like, man, send me the itinerary of the bill, itemized, and they showed everything like 17-minute phone conversation. I was like, damn, because they are burning through your retainer quick, fast, in a hurry, man.
Yeah, so
burn through it.
No, when you're talking about the system in this country, it's definitely rigged, and I don't see it getting better. And like you're saying, the best thing to do is just stay out of it because once you get in there, that's what they want. It's just a good thing California's coming out with this law to where they're sealing your records so people can actually start getting jobs. But yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, understood.
But I just wanted to tap in with you, and it was an interesting conversation that you're asking. I'll just step back and listen to the conversation.
Yeah.
I hope you have a great night.
Yeah, appreciate it, brother. We need some more people to tap in with discussing the 27th anniversary of the OJ Simpson verdict. As you all may be aware, 27 years ago today, October 3rd, 1995, 150 million people tuned in to watch the verdict of the case that was known as the trial of the century, the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson. As we know, he was exonerated of all charges, and the verdict, the reaction to the verdict was divided along racial lines. So we definitely want people to tap in, be part of the conversation. I'll put the link in the chat one more time, and get your perspective. Do you believe he was innocent? Do you believe they got it right? Can Black people gain justice via the criminal justice system, right? Via the court system? Many people argue that is the only route that we have. Many people argue, no, we can't. This is simply a case in which the police are policing themselves. So what say you? And of course, the question is, was OJ's exoneration a win for the Black community? Of course, it's the criminal justice system. The bias of the criminal justice system, is it based on race or is it based on class? So definitely want some people to tap in and be part of the conversation. If you're watching, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Please hit the notification bell. I know this is a rather provocative conversation to have, still sensitive to many people, even though it's been almost 3 decades ago. Um, However, with that being said, you don't have to cam up and you can use a pseudonym. Many people may work in a public facing job or career where they may have some non traditional values and non traditional perspectives about this extremely sensitive topic. And so, as a result, I can understand if you don't want to cam up, if you want to use a pseudonym to protect your identity, because we know we're living in a day of gotcha. They say gotcha journalism, right? To where if you make a claim or comment, even if it's just off base just a little bit, people try to use that in a manner to destroy your livelihood. So with that being said, tap in. The link is in the chat. Definitely looking forward to having a great conversation for about maybe another 30 minutes regarding the OJ Simpson verdict. We're talking about Orenthal James Simpson, also known as the Juice. We're talking about the man who said, "I'm not black, I'm OJ." We're talking about the brother who was running through the airport doing Hertz commercials. His fall from grace, of course. In which 28 years ago, he was accused of murdering his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson. Then, of course, her friend, many people speculated that this was a intimate partner of hers. We're talking about Ronald Goldman. So tap in. Many people even took umbrage with the fact that that on my channel, this was today's Black History Fact. Many people may be aware. I do a Black History Fact every single day on my channel. But what most people may be unaware is the fact that this was the first time I posted a Black History Fact and I got more dislikes than likes, right? So that in itself was a major issue, right? But that once again shows I would assume, was the racialized divide regarding the verdict. Many people believe that this man is a murderer, that he should be locked up, he should be in prison. Many people argue that he was exonerated. He went to trial, a jury of his peers. There's no way that a black man who has committed a crime as egregious and heinous as double murder can walk into an American courtroom and be exonerated unless he absolutely was not guilty, because we know there have been numerous black men and women throughout the history of this country who have been found guilty for crimes that they did not commit, even when there was evidence to show that they did not commit the crime. And a good example in California, it's Geronimo Pratt. We know he's passed on, he's transitioned to the realm of the ancestors. But we know that doing COINTELPRO, he was found guilty of a crime and sent to prison, even though the prosecutor had evidence showing that he wasn't even in the same state the date and time that the alleged offense took place. I'm gonna say that one more time. Our great ancestor, Geronimo Pratt, and many people don't know, is that after he left, of course, after he was exonerated and released from prison, he moved to Africa. He stayed in Tanzania along with the brother from Kansas City, Patrice O'Neal, right, who was the leader of the Black Panther Party in Kansas City. But with that being said, the prosecutor, I'm going to say this one more time, had information proving that Geronimo Pratt was not in the same state at the time of the alleged offense. However, the prosecutor hid that information from the defense, and then, of course, still moved forward with the trial, and he was convicted, right? So many people know when you talk about a discovery packet, the prosecutor's is only responsible for providing information to the defense that they're going to use to try to convict you. They're not responsible for providing information that they're not going to use to try to convict you. So, of course, many people argue that's unethical. There have been situations when prosecutors have been disbarred, of course, because they knowingly withheld information that showed that this person was innocent. But we know that was a politically charged trial, and that's why I push Black people to serve on the jury, so that if a person's in a situation where they're being railroaded, you could be that one individual that prevents that person from being railroaded, sent up the river, and of course, thrown in prison, oftentimes for the rest of their lives. So jury notification is a real thing, and I think it's something that in politically charged cases where we know the Black person is innocent but being tried for political purposes, we can oftentimes be the key to that person not going to prison. So with that said, the link is in the chat. Want people to tap in, give their perspective on a number of questions. One, you could tap in. Once again, you don't have to cam up. You can use a pseudonym. do you believe that OJ is guilty? Right. That's a question that people still discuss to this day. So, we're going to ask that question: was he guilty? I would love to get you all's responses, or you can share your thoughts in the chat. Number two, was OJ's exoneration a win for the Black community? We know that since we've come to America, since our time in America, Black people have experienced a litany of deep-seated racial abuses by the court, right? And we don't have to go through all of them, but if you want me to, I could give some examples. So do you believe that this was a win for the Black community? The previous guest said that he believed that it was. Then, of course, does the criminal justice system work if you have money? That's a great big question. Many people have argued that the issues are classist in nature rather than racial in nature. So that's a great question to ask. And then, of course, one of the questions would be, does the criminal justice system ever get it right? Brother Amir, what say you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, brother always have something to say.
Yes, sir.
You caught me in dinner too, so I'm like, oh, shoot, let me put my cabbage on hold. Going back a few things. Try to get all in. As far as that the trial was concerned, and I'll keep it straight 100. Although I care about life. I care, I don't even like really killing a mosquito, but sometimes you just got to smash them bad boys. I'm one of those people who see a stink bug and catch and release. So I think, every life is precious because it was given by God. So every life is precious. But when it came to that particular situation, I'm like, well, all that was sticky and foul. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And I don't think I care because it became strictly a black and white thing. It became strictly black and white. So it was basically them against us. It was just strictly racial. Whether he was guilty or not, people didn't care. It's like, let a black man win finally. It just became, because you're hearing this every day. Let the black man win. And even when he, was found guilty, of course they came back. It's like, okay, well, he has to pay this, he has to pay that, and da 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 da. They still got him.
He lost the civil suit.
Yeah, they still got him anyway. Because as I tell people, I was just talking to a brother. As I say, I speak to a lot of people in Africa on a regular basis. Talking about how the system is over here, and whether you win or lose, they're gonna find a way to make you lose because it's their law. It's that's what I'm talking about. His story is his story, not history, but his story. So it's their thing. Getting back to what you said too about being in the system, I think I spoke about the last time I was on here when I went to court. And as you say, and I tell people, even as a mentor, I say, know something about the law. I don't care if it's about jaywalking. Know some, because once you give them knowledge, like, oh, he may know the game. Mm-hmm. They back off. Even the situation I went through, and the cop tried me, I was like, you caught me on the, I just been fasting for 3 days. It was, I'm trying to do a favor to someone, and it's raining outside. And I'm like, and he's, trying to, first of all, he couldn't believe my age. You're lying. You're all the liars. I'm like, excuse me? And of course I said, black don't crack.
Right.
I said, look, I'm tired of this game. Do what you need to do. Just turn this thing around, take me downtown. Now, mind you, I went through all this. Well, I have my Miranda rights and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And the search me was a lot on it. I don't feel like dealing with that right now. But if anyone knows a cop named Jeff Heaver, watching, he's foul. I digress. So even with that and having to go to court, and I think I did mention that the last one was on here. When you have, first of all, to know thyself, and I don't care what your religion is, if you're stern and strict on your religion, you're dead on it, nothing's going to happen to you. That's how I strongly believe in that. When I walked into court and fired that Jewish attorney on the spot and told the judge he was stupid. Well, he has to go, do this anyway. They were like, this motherfucker. When the judge enunciated my name wrong, I said, that is not how you enunciate my name. And people are like, he's a judge. I don't care if he's a judge. He's a man. He's a male. I don't even know if he's a man. He's a male. Mm-hmm. Then on top of that, being a Pan-Africanist, he's a white male. I'm not bowing down to him. I only bow to Allah. That's it. I only bow to God. No, that's why I stopped taking karate. I was not going to bow to this man and call him master. It wasn't going to work. So he said, well, you got, if no one wants to do that and to bow, they can leave. I picked up my stuff and I was out. Out. I'm not bowing to no man. I'm not, even there are times I even go to court and I just tap on that too, because you spoke about voting. I was chosen to be a juror, and I'm like, yo, I don't have time for this. A lot of this, because we're, black, us as a people, we're always on the hustle.
Right.
If someone say, well, you know what, you got to be here at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, yo, y'all not gonna pay that little $10. What? Dude, really? I
think they was giving us like $50 a day. I mean, it was peanuts, but
yeah, like, I'm like, I could. It cost me 20 to put in my gas tank. I'm missing out some hours, so I could make it 100 in an hour. You trying to give me 10? Anyway, so I wasn't feeling that, of course, but we're always on the hustle. But when
well, listen, if they ever try to stroke me, you better have your ass down there on the jury.
Well, and even with that, we're sitting there, and I was talking to a brother. He was from where is it? Not Mauritania, from wherever, some West Africa. And
okay,
what's that? What's that?
Was it Mali?
No. The brother was from Cameroon. He's from Cameroon.
Okay, Cameroon. Got you.
So we're down there and we're jurors, and it just so happens that it was a case, and I kept thinking, please don't let this brother be black. Please don't let me be black. Oh God, please don't let me be black. And when he came out, I was like, oh God, he's black. It's talking about he shot somebody and and it happened on Maine and Philadelphia and Did anybody know about it? I kept thinking, how do I get out of this? I'm like, I don't want to do this. Whether he's guilty in his whatever, all he did kill someone black. I'm like, oh damn, But I just didn't want to be bothered with it. First of all, we can go on tour. I'm like, yo, we can go on tour. You're in my pocket now. Say it may last 5 days. I'm like, oh, that's way too long. 2 days is too long. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm looking around, I'm like, okay, when they say being judged by a panel of your peers, I was like, you know what? I'm looking around. I'm like, there are 8 black people up in this courtroom full of 100, ready to be picked to judge this brother. So of course, me being me, that's why people in Dayton don't like me. I'm a little too 100. I'm sitting there, there's a frown on my face, and the judge is like, as asking who doesn't want to be. I said, I don't want to be here. They're asking, well, everything he asked when I raised me. I didn't raise my hand. I'm like, I'm not a child. I'm not a student. I'm like, me. He's like, has anyone had situations with the police before? Of course, everybody black said me. One white dude said him. And just asking us, what was it? I told him about Jeff Heber and a few other things. I said, it was just last week. I'm riding out to West Carrollton to go to the fabric store. I said, and a cop pulls up behind me. I'm thinking, well, before he turns on his light, let me go ahead and pull over. He pulls up in back of me, parks in back of me, didn't get the car or anything. And then he takes off. So I take off. So he gets behind me again. I'm like, you know what? F it. Harassment. So I brought that up. So the whole system, and even when they picked the people who were going to judge his brother, old white people, one mulatto, considered to be black. And I said, so much for a jury of your peers. And I told him, I said, this whole system's, talking to the judge, everybody's looking at him and said, this whole system's jacked up. Of course, I went in, shot it up and everything. I said, this whole system, it's not for us. I told him, flat, I said, this system is not for us. It said, brother, I wish you the best of luck, but this is not for us. It said, as far as him being judged by a panel, I swear to God, that's what I said. I said, as far as him being judged by a panel of his peers, I said, I don't see not one young black person up in here. Not one. Nor male. Those are his peers.
Well, that they say peers means an American citizen.
But that's probably what it means now. But even still, when you break it down, it's like, this is not one of his peers. Come on now, get somebody black up in here. But there's too many loopholes. And getting back what you said too, it's like, know the system, know something. It just so happens I do know something. So, and when I did go down there, like, well, he's kind of smart. Right. They play on your stupidity. They can't play.
Yeah, typically, if you smart, they're gonna say, "Get his ass out of here now."
Exactly, because he's gonna raise hell
before he infects everybody else.
Exactly.
Literally,
they rushed my ass up out of there. They rushed everybody out, but they picked them people quick. Even the judge, the brother, the defense attorney was looking at me. And they kept looking at me. I'm sitting over here because I was one of the top first to be chosen. He's looking at me, said, you're very interesting. I said, of course I am. I'm a king. He said, I would like to talk to you. I said, I know. I said, I know you have a lot on your mind because you've been looking at me since I first opened my mouth. I said, we can talk and give you my card. I said, you have my numbers on file. Feel free to call me anytime. I'm free to talk. I said, but I don't want to be a part of this because I'm busy. I have 2 jobs. I run I'm with a nonprofit organization. I said, and I'm CEO of my own company, and I really don't have time for this. And I said, brother, again, I wish you the best, but it looks tight. And they were like, this dude.
Right.
But yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot of things I want to tap on, but I'm not, I get on and start.
That's all right. So let me ask you this. Do you believe that OJ's exoneration was a win for the Black community?
It was a win and it was a curse. Because with that being said, because I was back and forth in LA during that time.
Okay.
It just got to the point, I'm like, you know what? Let me keep my 6'4" butt back in New York instead of LA because it was sticky and it was tricky. And I'm like, even a lot of people, went undercover. Even, top known actors and actresses kept the low.
Mm.
They shouldn't have to, but they did because everyone's been a major target. I mean, people being pulled over just for stepping off the curb.
Damn.
Seriously, it was serious. I'm like, no, because see, me going to LA and me going, nah, I'm not trying to get beat down like Rodney King. I'm like, I'm not no shade, but I'm like, I'm not trying to go out like that. A lot of stuff happened after that. A lot of, I was going to stuff that happened to Tupac. There was a lot. It was a reoccurrence for years after that. It was
This is true. Very true. Yeah.
It was a serious.
Many people argue that because of his exoneration, that's when they started really tightening domestic violence laws. They became draconian, where police would say, if we have to show up, somebody's going to jail.
Somebody's going to jail.
What happened?
And that rippled outside of LA all across the country. It rippled across the country. It's like somebody's, y'all, i.e., you all are paying for it.
Yep, somebody's going to jail, absolutely.
Although this white female who was, let's call it a spade, a slut, and a cheater, and a whole lot of, and a drug head, although she was all that, she died allegedly from the hands of a person of color, you all have to pay for it because it's free.
So do you believe that he was innocent, that he was rightfully exonerated?
Wallahi, honest to God, I really don't care. And I said, and if he was not innocent, God knows best. Look what has happened to us since they brought us over here. Mm-hmm. It happens and that's all I said even back then. It happens every day, every day, and that's by people who suppose that we pay to protect us.
Right. Exactly.
It happens every day. So I said, well, as far as I'm concerned, it's just like one on our side. Put one up on our side. That's 10 versus 10 million.
Right. So what real quick, and I'm going to let you go. What are your thoughts on jury nullification?
I heard you explain it to the brother, and I get the gist of it, but I think it's one-sided. I've always felt it was one-sided. I think it's shady. Explain it again, please.
Yeah, so a jury nullification is a situation in which a jury exonerates a person that they know is guilty.
Yeah, and as I said, we get to what I said because I know I said what I said, right? It's shady because when you look at when it happens, look who it happens and look who it benefits.
Exactly, yeah.
That's why I said it's shady and it's one-sided. It doesn't benefit us, and we don't have the forthwith knowledge or of knowing what's going to happen anyway. They don't give us that information. I know brothers who are judges, and I knew some black judges. There's certain knowledge as a judge they don't give them, and think they can pull shade. It's like, I'm a judge. How you can pull? You're an attorney. How you can pull shade on me? And think you can get over with it because you're white? No, it's shady. It's one-sided. If it was an equal thing, which will probably never be, not in my lifetime, it's just shady because I've seen it happen. Even when I was going through that with the situation I went through with the court, of course, I didn't have to spend a dime, but thank God, because they were like, this dude is crazy. I was just, I guess they thought I was crazy. But even I seen it, it was happening in front of my face. I'm like, I told the prosecutor, with my finger in her face, are you serious? don't disrespect me. And the judge was like, well, damn. You know, but and that's what we had.
I think that you were in what, Dayton Municipal?
Yes, wherever it is down there.
Okay.
But on second floor, where it's first floor, wherever it was, hell, I don't know where, somewhere down there. But just as you said earlier, to have some type of knowledge and play that, you're not getting me caught up, like such as you mentioned the situation, that rape situation. Even that's like, and get back what you said with that when you said the professor said to you, blah 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 blah. Those boys are young. They were young, so they had no knowledge.
They were teenagers. They were
they had no knowledge
15,
of the system.
Yeah, absolutely. And typically at that age, you don't have the mental bandwidth and wherewithal
because you're still a
to
child.
resist that type of pressure, because you're still innocent in a lot of ways. And you're
still innocent because you're still a child. They were children. Those are children.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
You know, them boys probably barely even urinated straight. You know, they're still babies. They're babies.
Right.
You know, so they didn't have the, you know, all I could think about my mother, you know, all this, and they're tripping and they're panicking, you know, so they trip on that.
Yeah, and then to think about it, you know, I could think when I was 16, which seems like a million years ago, right? According to my children, right?
It was only 10 years ago.
Too, but you're not thinking about, okay, if I have this type of situation, how do I respond to it?
I mean, even as an adult, you know, I remember one time I was, it was the strangest, it's one of the stories in my book. I'm at my cousin's house. I was cooking them curry chicken. I was doing another Jamaican dish. And we're in a flat, in an apartment building. There's a ring at the door. They're asking for someone. I go out, and I just left a modeling rehearsal. I'm still dressed up, and I'm, you know, because we had a photo shoot. I come to the door, and then the cop tells me that someone pointed me out as being someone who just robbed them with a knife. I'm like, well, I carry a knife. What does the knife look like? Because I carried a damn near machete. I'm like, well, that's not mine. Of course, eventually, I had to go through this whole lie detector thing, and the cop who gave it to me was like, "This is a damn shame. I don't know why they do that to you." Of course, it wasn't me, you know. But even then, I've said, "You're not going to talk to me that way." I did panic because I'm thinking they could just like swoop me up right now. You know, although my cousin's here, his girl's here, the baby's here, but no one's gonna know what's gonna happen when I get outside this building. And it was panicky, but at the same time, because of my faith and my what people call arrogance, I wasn't gonna tolerate. I was not tolerating. I was not gonna go for it. I said, I know this about the law. Whoever's accusing me, they need to accuse me to my face. I need to see.
They have to make if you are accused of a felony, in order for them to make an arrest, they have to have a photo identification.
And I wasn't arrested. And if I was, trust me, I wasn't going down fighting. I mean, I wasn't going down not fighting. You know,
unless of course it's a murder, you can't identify the person if you're dead.
Yeah, but either way, you know, but just being in a situation, even as an adult, you do panic because you know we had this whole stigma too. It's like especially as a black male. You know, male of color, I'm brown, but as a brother of color, it's like you do panic because there are cases of us not showing up or coming up missing or he slipped and fell and it was like that's how you got decapitated. Right. So that fear does come across, you know, and then to have that happen to a child, to children, you know, but getting what you said is shady. It's one-sided. It's for them because it's their law. It's the part of their history, you know, and it's just one-sided and shady. And I said, even if OJ did it, and if anybody else did it and got away with it, c'est la vie. C'est la vie. It's just another one on our side. I know it sounds really messed up, but, you know.
No, I understand. I think that was the sentiments of many people in the black community. I know I was a child at the time, but several people were telling white folk, well, now you see how we feel.
And that's what everyone kept saying. Now you see how we feel. We've always felt. I mean, I remember people hollering and screaming. I still remember people in Dayton, white people, tearing shit up. You know, I'm like, they're running amok. But my whole thing was this: I'm not going to hide in my flat.
Right.
I said I'm gonna go out and sit in the first person who even. I swear that because I'm a little harder than people think. I think I'm a softy, but don't let the smooth tape fool you. I'll scrap. You don't grow up in the soda bass courts and not know how to fight. You know what I mean? You know.
Facts.
Okay.
Shout out to the bass. Right? I'm a view board for life, though. DVH for life, but
well, I was there too. I did a whole Princeton thing, so I was on both sides of the track. So I was waiting for someone to try me, but when you have an aura of protection around you, you kind of safe. So I guess I had to. So no one tried me. No one tried me. The only thing that bothered me was some of the blacks who were saying, "Well, that's really messed up." And I'm like, "Oh, shut up, cracker! Shut up." And even now on social media, it bothers me. About the whole Queen situation. I can't wait to have a discussion about that. People like, well, the Queen is. I'm like, oh, F the Queen.
Oh yeah.
Pick a side. There's no in between. And if you're on that side, because I actually deleted some people on social media getting on me about that. I'm like,
well, I was lucky enough not to have anyone on my timeline post anything about her. Well, in a positive anyway.
Well, no one's. Well, no positive on my end.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know.
But I'm just talking to people who chimed in and talk about, well, you shouldn't say that because she what? She had almost 100 years to rectify a situation and never did it.
Right. Murderer, enslaver, colonizer. Call a spade a spade.
That's you. That's me. I call a spade in a minute. Okay, and even if you are black, but I'm like, no, let me go ahead and say, let me just say this person and then block them, which is what I did. So
no doubt,
you're welcome for dinner. If you haven't eaten, you can come up for dinner. Anyway, I'm gonna bid you an adieu. I have my cabbage is not on yet. I love you, my brother, and hit me up next time you're doing this, and if I'm available, I'm here.
No doubt. I'm gonna be back at it Wednesday because we're gonna be discussing Nat Turner. We know his birthday was Sunday, so we're gonna discuss Nat Turner's legacy and what we can do in a reasonable manner to, of course, try to be as revolutionary as our great ancestor and martyr Nat Turner, who died for the cause of African redemption.
Brother, there's some people. I think that there should be some resurrections of him here, there, and everywhere, and some murals. But a lot of people think that that's been too black, or is it no? Right. They say it's been too ethnic.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. Typically black people, we're the only racial ethnic group that are ever accused of being too themselves. We've never heard of a term. You're too German, too Latino, too Asian,
too Jewish,
you too white. To anything. The only time we hear it is you're too black, you're too African. So
with their 3-day Oktoberfest,
right,
where they don't shut it down until 1:00, but let it be the Black Cultural Festival when the light, just like when you were younger, when the lights come on, go home. Don't get me started. But yeah, you're right. Even then, you always get me off track. But it's just like when I was in LA. I was doing my LA thing. They always tell me if I wore my kufi or if I had, a dashiki or something, it's like, that's just so ethnic. I'm like, so ethnic. I'm like, you have a Hasidic Jew walking around here with all this. He's not too Jewish.
Right.
You had this. I'm like, you know what? Y'all better leave me alone. So, yeah. But, yeah, you're right. You're right. But I'll tap in. Just remind me.
All right. No problem. I appreciate you.
Memories is kind of jagged. Everyone, peace out. Sorry for talking so long. I'm long-winded. I'm a Gemini. What can I say? The two of me. All right. Two peace signs. All right. Peace, brother.
Well, listen, I appreciate everyone who tapped in. I'm going to call it a night. As I said, I'm extremely tired. I've been up since about 5. Had a lot I had to do today. But with that being said, I appreciate everyone for tapping in. I think we had a great conversation regarding, of course, OJ. We're talking about the juice, Orenthal, James Simpson. Just one more time to reiterate, of course, this was the 27th anniversary of the OJ Simpson verdict. The state versus Orenthal James Simpson, also known as the trial of the century, in which he was exonerated, of course, in the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. As we know, this case was extremely stratified along racial lines, and it's still that case today. But I hope that this was a productive conversation. I think people were able to glean something from it and learn something more also, particularly about the criminal justice system, how it works, and what we can do to protect ourselves from, of course, the pervasive, almost omnipresent reach of the criminal justice system. So until next time, you all know what to do. Make sure you always bet on Black. Hit that thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Until next time, peace.